second. Good afternoon, and can I say it's an honour to stand in front of you all today and tonight on such a special occasion. Social speaking isn't my strong point, so you may have to bear with me. If you don't already know me, my name is Charlotte. I'm the maid of honour, but most importantly, I'm the daughter of the bride and now the stepdaughter of the groom. Obviously, I've known my mother my whole life, and I'm grateful for all the support she's given me in my 15 years of life on this earth, and my love towards my mother and my grandmother for having such a massive impact on my mother, and my Uncle Mark, who made my mum have character building. Well done. But tonight I don't just speak as the maid of honour, but also the daughter of the bride and now the stepdaughter of the groom. I first met Brian when I was very little. Back then I called him Naughty Brian for snapping my mum's desk at work. She did not appreciate that, Brian. I never thought about 10 years later he would be living in my house, never mind my stepfather. When me and my mum started living alone together, I didn't think either of us thought we'd be living with someone else, apart from our cats and our dog. Never mind Naughty Brian, but with time, Brian was introduced to life as Mummy's boyfriend, and I loved it. Over the years, I've lived my life with Mum and Brian. I've done amazing things, and I am proud to stand up in front of you all and call Brian my stepdad. My father works away, and I've been blessed with Brian to fill in and stand up and take the role of being my father. I don't usually cry, this isn't a common thing. Where I am now. Hold on. As I've lived with Brian, I was first introduced to his beautiful family in 2018, and they accepted me and my mother into the family. And sure.
No. Take your time. It's okay, Charlotte. It's
Yeah. The anxiety is real, guys. The anxiety is real. And showed me my mum kindness and love. But Brian's parents, you've raised a great man, and I think I can say for me and my mother, thank you. And of course, a quick shout out to Brian's sister. I don't know how you put up with his pranks and jump scares when you were younger. A lot of empathy and respect for you, Wendy. A lot. To get on to the point, Brian and Mum supported me with all my hopes and dreams and aspirations. One was being a cadet, which brings me to my next point. Brian, if you heard my mum, I could easily go grab my gun from our own boomer. But Mum, the same goes for you if you heard Brian, okay? Anyway, I'm so happy for you both. I can't wait to see your relationship grow and experience life together.
To Morpeth Rugby Club. Thank you all for being here today, especially those of you who've travelled a great distance. We're really grateful that so many of our nearest and dearest could be here today, so thank you very much. I'll come back to this gorgeous lady in a moment. There are a few thank yous and toasts that we need to get through first, so please take a moment to charge your glasses. You don't need to do that because we're already charged, I know. Okay, I'm going to start off with Christine's mum. Anne, thank you for all your efforts in bringing up your amazing daughter. I think she's turned out fairly well. I'm honoured to now call you the mother-in-law, and thank you for always making me feel very welcome, and also being very open and honest with me. A bit too honest sometimes, mind you. Like when I asked for your blessing before I proposed, I think you said something along the lines of, what makes you think she wants to get married again? To my mum and dad, Jan and Ian, Thank you for all your love and guidance over the years. You supported me through everything that I've done and been very patient with all the things that I haven't. It's very much appreciated. Christine's mum and my mum have been doing a double act when it comes to baking and decorating the wedding cake. And we've got you a small gift to say thank you for sorting out all the soggy bottoms and other cake-related bits. Here's my gorgeous assistant to do it.
I love his legs. Thank you.
And could everyone please raise a glass to our parents? Okay, next up is Lizzie Morris.
Lizzie, it's okay.
Thank you for sorting the hen night out and supporting Christine through the run-up to the wedding as unofficial bridesmaid. And just generally being there for over many years of friendship. We've also got you a gift. Next up, Natasha Sligo. Thank you for all of your patience whilst making Christine's wedding dress and also making the bridesmaids' dresses. Whilst I'm on about the bridesmaids, please can you raise a glass to the bridesmaids? Charlotte, Liv, Lucy and Sasha have all look amazing today.
Well done.
And Tash, we've also got you a gift to say thank you for all your hard work. Next, we've got David and Becky Sanderson. Thank you for providing lots of ideas and a lot of the items for the day, left possibly second hand from your wedding. We really appreciate it. And thank you especially to Becky for chauffeuring Christine and the bridesmaids today. I would say we've also got you a small gift, but Christine left it at home. So we'll get that to you at some point. Next is my best man, Gary. Thank you for your friendship and wisdom over the last 33 odd years. And thank you for organising the epic 6-day marathon that was my stag do in Lisbon. We've also got you a small gift to say thank you. And finally to our Lord of the Rings, James. Thank you very much for playing an integral part in today's ceremony. We've also got your small gift to say thank you. Now, unfortunately, it's not been possible to have everyone we love with us today, but we know that they're here in spirit. So please join me in a toast to absent friends and family. Okay, thank you for that. Now to address the elephant in the room, i.e. this. Over the years, Christine has mentioned quite a few times that she likes to see a man wearing a kilt. And she's mentioned even more times than that she'd love to see me in a kilt. And I've always said no, it's not happening. Partly because I'm not Scottish, and partly because I feel very self-conscious about it. Now, some of you will know that Christine has always been interested in tracing family histories. And a while back, she got me to spit into a tube. to get my DNA to send off for an ethnicity estimate. And as it turns out, I'm actually 74% Scottish.
Hey!
Thank Thankfully, there's no Welsh. Although I'm not sure how reliable these things are, as Christine, with her now strawberry blonde hair and pale complexion, is 3% African. Some of you will be aware that Christine had no idea about the kids today. Right, I'm not sure that's a good thing, that I'm keeping secrets from my wife so early in the marriage. Anyway, shall we talk about the new and improved Mrs. Smeaton? Yay! It feels very good to call you that. And I think you'll all agree that she looks stunning today.
Yes.
I know that in the past, some of Charlotte's friends have described her as being scary. And a few weeks back, the lovely paramedics that took her to hospital said she was very demanding. I'm pleased to say that she's neither of those things, not usually anyway. She's bubbly, she's caring, she's intelligent. She's always wanted to help people. She loves animals, especially hedgehogs, and she makes me smile when I think about her. And I've always thought that when she smiles, she lights up the room. Back in 2017, when we started to date properly, Christine mentioned there was two important things that I needed to know. Firstly, she wouldn't be having any more kids. And secondly, that Charlotte would always come first. Both were fine with me. Back then, Charlotte was a bit wary of me, I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
When we talked about those early days, she mentioned that she thought that I was trying to steal Christine away from her. And I thought, fast forward a few months, and I thought things were going well with Charlotte, until she gave me a tour of her latest house that she designed on Minecraft.
No, stop!
She showed me where her bedroom was, and where Christine's bedroom was, and when I asked where my bedroom was, she pointed out that it was in the treehouse outside. I'm pleased to say that we've come a long way since then. And after many dance routines and makeup sessions, we have a lovely relationship. As well as gaining a wife today, I'm also the proud stepdad of this beautiful young lady. Would you mind joining me in raising a glass to my stepdaughter, Charlotte?
Charlotte.
Okay, so before Gary takes you to the land of make-believe, I thought I'd take you back to the day that we got engaged. It was October 2022, and we were on holiday in Montenegro, staying next to Lake Skadar, which is the largest lake in southern Europe, if you didn't know. It's about the same size as Andorra.
Thanks, Mark.
Always a date league. It was a lovely sunny day, and we decided that we were going to go for a walk in the hills that surrounded part of the lake. We'd selected this particular route as it was a circular route, and about halfway around there was a nice viewpoint with spectacular views over the lake. According to the Montenegrin tourist website anyway. We packed a picnic and decided that when we got to the viewpoint, that's when I'd ask the question. Obviously Christine was unaware. So after a typically hairy drive up the single track rural roads, we parked at a small hamlet near the start of the path. The path wasn't quite as established as I was hoping, with lots of bushes on one side and a fairly severe drop on the other. After around half a mile, we came across a rather large pile of animal poo. Somewhat dried, probably a day or two old. Not that I'm an expert. Christine and I had a short conversation speculating what kind of animal it might have come from, and then just continued on. 5 minutes later, we came across another similar sized pile, only this time it was very fresh. After another 10 minutes of hiking along, the path was getting more surrounded by woodland and was starting to get quite steep in places. Our nostrils were all of a sudden attacked by a very strong, pungent smell of urine. And a bit further on the path, we heard a loud snap of a branch from somewhere close in the woodland. At this point, Christine was starting to get concerned that we weren't alone on this walk and wondered whether we should turn back. I attempted to reassure her that everything was fine and I was keen to stick with the proposal plan, so we continued. Another 5 minutes went by and we came to a bit of a clearing. We'd walked about 1.5 miles by this point and thought it was time for a rest. As we rested, we noticed there was quite a few used bullet casings scattered around the floor, which made us wonder, does going for a walk in the hills of Montenegro without any way of defending yourself equate to the same level of stupidity as going for a hike on a hot day without any water? As we sat there contemplating this, a wolf howled in the distance, and that just tipped us right over the edge. We very quickly decided that we should retrace our steps and head back to the car. Now, usually on a walk, I'm out in front with Christine a few metres behind. Not on this walk back though. Christine was out in front attempting to break the land speed record, and we made it back to the car in half the time, only stopping to take a quick picture of the piles of poo on the way back. Once back in the car, we had mobile reception and did a quick reverse Google image search on the poo pictures. Now, for those of you with iPhones, this is where you can search the internet for similar pictures, and it tells you where the image is. Sorry, search for similar pictures, and it tells you what the image is, not where the image is. You heard that one, didn't it? Anyway, you iPhone users might get that feature in a few years. Oh no. Anyway, it turns out the poo was from brown bear. And there were lots of websites that warned us that fresh bear poo means there's a bear near you. After considering what might have happened had we continued on the walk, we drove down to the lake itself, parked up near a deserted beach and set up our picnic. I pointed something out in the direction of the lake, and Christine promptly tried to spot it with her binoculars. When she turned round, I was down on one knee and asking her to marry me. She said something along the lines of, "Are you serious?" Before saying yes, and here we are. So as we continue our journey, hopefully our bear-free journey, together, please can you raise your glasses even? Good luck trying to raise Christy. Here's my glasses to my wonderful bride, Smeaton Wedding.
Or that I'm up here in this kilt. We know Brian has worn a skirt plenty of times before, so maybe it's just something you get used to. Is it Brian? Fortunately, last night I slept like a baby, waking up every 2 hours and bawling my eyes out. Thank you, internet, for that one. So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you to Brian and Charlotte for their excellent speeches. So welcome to the wedding of Christine and Brian, and I'd like to thank you on their behalf for being here with them on their special day today. It's an absolute honour to have been asked to be Brian's best man. Some of you may not know that Brian was the best man at my wedding, so for the next few minutes, I'm delighted to have the chance to get my revenge at my wedding. Before I start, I'd like to say how beautiful the bride looks today.
Yeah.
bridesmaids who also look beautiful today. I'd also like to compliment the groomsmen on how well they scrub up in their kilts. It's a complete reversal on how we looked in our ugly shirts on the stag do. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Gary Weatherstone. I moved back to England in 1993 and I met Brian at school. Being the new boy, I was sitting on my own at lunchtime and Brian and the others invited me to join their group. We bonded quickly over football and computer gaming, particularly the very early iterations of Championship Manager. We also both took a liking to the early dance music that was being played on the radio. We would regularly record the Essential mix on a Saturday night, and I know we both still have tapes of these recordings that we still listen to. And I'm showing our ages by saying we recorded off the radio onto tape. Apologies to anyone young enough to not know what the hell I'm talking about. I know everyone's keen to get on with enjoying the rest of the day, so I won't take up too much of your time, but I'd like to share a few stories with you that show you the kind of man that Brian is. If Brian has a motto in life, it might be, what's the worst that can happen? Often followed, sometime later, by, it seemed like a good idea at the time. So some of the following might illustrate that. So Brian and I lived together during our second and third year of university. We'd spend many late nights staying up and playing Championship Manager. The computer was in Brian's room, and after I'd gone to bed, he would often stay up and sabotage my team. I'm not the only person in the room that he's done this to. Look, he's not even denying it. You may not know that Brian always likes to plan ahead. So while at university, if it was raining at night, he would turn his alarm off for the morning lectures, assuming that it would still be raining in the morning. We all know that you can't go into university when it's raining in the morning. Brian has a love of the band Scooter, and Brian is such a fan of these that not only has he travelled abroad to see them, but he's also performed one of their songs at karaoke when we were on holiday in Greece in the early 2000s. I can honestly say I've never heard such a poorly received performance of a guest in a bar. David, my brother-in-law, was with me and we were booing him loudly and trying to make him laugh, and that wouldn't have helped, but I don't think we've laughed as hard since. And Christine, I know Brian has subjected you to Scooter as well. Be thankful he's not singing along while he does it. Ironically, as much of a fan as Brian is of Scooter, it's a shame that Scooters are not as big a fan of him. As a recent attempt in Poland to drive one whilst very drunk did not go as well as he would have wished. Brian is someone who'll do anything to help anyone. One time we were in Munchies at the end of a night out. The toilet doors had been mislabeled, well that's my excuse anyway. So I was in the toilet labelled women and had obviously locked the door behind me. A lady had tried to open the door, thinking it was the women's toilet, and that the door was just jammed. As I was approaching the sink, you can imagine my surprise when the door comes crashing off its hinges and Brian lying on top of the remains, Gary taking a running shoulder charge approach to the locked door. We were very quickly chased out by some very angry staff. Brian was still protesting his innocence, and it was all a big misunderstanding. Brian is a big supporter of lower league football, and no, I know what you're thinking, it's not Sunderland. I was made aware this morning of a couple of Sunderland fans in the room, so apologies for that. He quite often goes to see Hartlepool and Scunthorpe and other lower league matches. It's great that Brian is willing to spend the time and money supporting these teams. They don't generate the TV money that flashy Premier League clubs do. But perhaps it's a feeling of guilt, because when we were in our early 20s going to watch Blythe Spartans, Brian would take us to whichever turnstile was operated by a very elderly gentleman who was almost blind, so we could get in as an under 14. To make the situation even more ridiculous, we were all 6 feet tall, we had voices deeper than Barry White, and Brian had a full beard. Brian is a man who is at the front end of high fashion. So when we were planning the ugly shirt night for the stag do, we'd meet up for some drinks before we went away. We had to remind Brian that it wasn't ugly shirt night that night. It was just for the stag do. Brian famously used to have a shirt that appeared to be made of a doily. Yes, and it was as awful as it sounds, and there must be photographic evidence of it somewhere. We had a period in the 2000s where Brian hosted murder mystery nights. It always seemed strange that there would never seem to be enough male roles for the number of male guests at the event. So Brian would selflessly volunteer to play one of the female roles. He would fully embrace the role that he had to play. Had stockings, disturbingly short skirts, fake boobs, and the long blonde wig, which Brian actually really suits. But the worst thing was not that Brian chose to dress like this, it's he would dress like this and sit up in a very unladylike manner in the chair opposite him. Over the years, we've been on holidays to Greece, a dozen or so stag do's, including a brilliant 5-day in Lisbon, 6-day. It just seems like it went on forever, didn't it? We've had countless weekends away, hundreds of nights out in town, and I dread to think how many pints we've had together. However, one weekend in Milan did show the determination that Brian has when he gets an idea in his head. To be fair to Brian, we were younger and didn't know any better, but Brian was determined that we needed to find a bar that served draft beer. So we wandered the streets of Milan, dying of thirst, ignoring all the chilled bottles of Peroni that were in classy European bars to try and find a pint, only to end up in an underground dive bar where the only draft beer they served was McEwen's. On all of these occasions, there have been far too many laughs and memories to count. On a more serious note, and it's not something I often thought about, it's been mentioned over the years how uncommon it is for such a large group of school friends to stay close for so long. And one of the main reasons is Brian is instrumental in suggesting and organising the many activities that bring us together. Brian has been a great friend over the years, so I won't embarrass him further by telling you some of his more outrageous stories in public like this. But if you'd like to hear about the spa incident, his first year of university exam results, or the time that he gave me a bloody nose in Subway by hitting me with a stale baguette, then you're going to have to buy one or both of us a very large drink. Finally, we can all see how good Brian and Christine are together and how happy Brian has been since he met her. Since they met, Christine has become a very good friend of Ruth and mine, and it's been a great pleasure to spend time in their company and witness firsthand the positive impact she's had on him. I'd also like to mention the positive impact that Charlotte has had on Brian's life. The way Brian talks about the three of them shows how much of a family they have become, even if Charlotte has been subjected to more than her fair share of dad jokes.
It's not even funny, guys, it's not even funny.
So I'd like you to all be upstanding and to raise your glasses to the bride and groom. May you have many years of happiness together. To Brian and Christine.
Brian and Christine.